What's good, y'all? It's your boy Tacho here, and we're back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes. Now, for those of you Feh Pass owners out there, we got ourselves a copy of Resplendent Minerva today. So we're going to be talking about her and doing a little bit of a discussion and analysis and taking a look at some builds and possible skills you may want to run on her. So let's just jump right in. Alright, so typically with these Resplendent Heroes, what I like to do is just take a little trip down memory lane and recall what the state of the game was when the unit actually came out. But in Minerva's case, I can't really do that, because unfortunately, Minerva actually eluded your boy for quite some time, and I wasn't able to pull a copy of this unit until many years later. I think it was like 2 or 3 years after the fact when one of those random like rerun banners with the 4% rates happened, and she was a focus unit on one of those, and I ended up pulling her as my freebie. So pretty awkward how I was able to get this unit, and I've honestly never even used her. She's been sitting in my box at level 1 this entire time, and despite already getting a refine and now even getting the BST boost from being a Resplendent Hero, I still don't see myself using this Minerva in the foreseeable future, and the main reason why is because her kid version is just so much better. Like, I don't even think it's up for debate. Like, the kid Minerva, first of all, that kid Minerva is a Tempest Trial freebie unit, and she's also available in the Grail shop if you want to go for the plus 10. So, like, accessibility-wise and even, like, actual combat-wise, that kid Minerva is just so much better than this one, unfortunately. And it does really suck because this Minerva is already a 5-star hero with every possible thing they could have done to make her better, like Resplendent BST buffs and also weapon refine. So unless we start getting refines for refines at some point in the future, which, I mean, the way this game is going with the power creep, that might not be all that impossible. Until we get something like that, this Minerva is probably going to be sitting in limbo for me. But I mean, that doesn't need to sway you guys' opinion of her. If you really like Minerva and you love her artwork, then by all means go ahead and deck her out with some crazy skills and put her to some good use. Okay, so let's take a look at her base kit here. So she comes with a perf weapon called Hauteclear, if I'm even saying that right. I mean, you guys can chalk that up to a list of the words that I just can't say. But Hauteclear, it just comes with -1 special trigger, which is pretty solid. Even by today's standards, that's a very strong effect for a weapon to have. And I would say just because of that, this is one of the day 1 weapons that actually aged pretty well. Like, definitely in a better position than stuff like Durandal or Yato or some of those really awkward day 1 weapons. This one held up pretty well with the killer effect, so that's pretty nice. She also has Sacred Cowl, Life and Death 3, and Ward Flyers. Now the cool thing about this Minerva was that day 1, she was actually the only unit that had Ward Flyers for quite some time. I believe it wasn't until Shigure was added to the 3 and 4 star pool where Ward Flyers was actually a free-to-play accessible tool. But before that point, Minerva was the only unit that had it, so building a Ward Flyer cube was actually very difficult unless you were a whale. And I mean, just in general, the flying team was really heavy investment back in those days, because of course Hone Flyers was also 5-star locked on Hinoka. So the flying team day 1 was actually like really hard to build, and it was very heavily slept on because it was just super high investment and not a lot of people could build it. But of course, looking at it now, the flying team is probably the best movement type team you can make. Flying units are just super busted, and we keep on getting some even crazier ones as time passes. So flyer units always going to have an advantage, and that just about covers us for Minerva's base kit. So recommended IVs for this Minerva, I'm going to have to say go for plus speed. Plus attack would work out just fine as well, but I think you probably want to go for plus speed on her. She's going to definitely need to have as much speed as she can so she can go for those double attacks, and the way her refine works, it actually isn't even that bad if she doesn't have plus attack, because the refine on Hauteclear has plus 10 damage. So definitely not a big deal if you don't choose to go for plus attack. And for our budget build on Minerva, we are going to of course take the special refine for her weapon. Like I said just now, it grants her the Wodao effect, so plus 10 true damage whenever she triggers a special. And comboed with the -1 special trigger, that's actually a pretty solid weapon. So we're free to run specials like Moonbow or Luna and just really pile on the damage quickly with Minerva. We're also going to go for Reposition here since it's the bread and butter assist skill, and flying units in particular make the best use of Reposition, I feel, since they can fly over any of the gaps or any of the mountains and reposition a unit across. So very nice, of course, for movement and helping your other units. We're going to keep Life and Death 3 on this build, but feel free to switch that out for Fury 3 instead. It's another budget option, of course, and by comparison, you're gaining +8 to defense and res by having Fury 3 as opposed to Life and Death 3. So it's definitely going to help her bulk out a ton, but you are going to lose out on 2 attack and 2 speed, so you're going to have to make the decision whether or not you want to go for one or the other. We are also going to run Desperation on this build, and either or is going to work out just fine with Life and Death or Fury 3 to help you get into Desperation range. And because it's a danger build, we have Brazen attack and speed as well, so once she dips below 75% health, she's going to have Brazen attack and speed kick in. She's going to hit the foes twice in a row with Desperation, and Moonbow is going to deal +10 true damage thanks to her weapon refine. So pretty solid player phase build here, but I mean, that being said, it's going to be up to you whether or not you think Minerva is solid enough and worthy enough to be running on your team. The power creep has been pretty crazy, and it's really hard to argue running this Minerva over the Kid variant, who can pretty much do the same things but better. But that about covers us for the budget build, so let's move on to the high investment build now. Alright, once again, we are going to keep Hauteclear with the special refine. Feel free to go for one of the other refines, actually, because you could take plus speed instead if you wanted. For example, like, if you wanted to run Gale Force on her and have her be a Gale Force attacker, the plus speed refine would actually be a little bit better. So, depending on what your special is, you may want to go for different refines here, but for Luna, which we're going to run on this build, I think the special refine is the way to go. Once again, we're keeping Reposition, but we can combo it this time with Speed and Defense Snag. Really awesome B-slot passive that we just recently got, and it's going to help out flying units a ton. As you guys already know, the flying units were starved for a good B-slot passive, and we really just haven't had any good options. They gave us Pegasus Flight, but it's super wonky, and I'm not a big fan of that skill. So I think Speed and Defense Snag is going to be a little bit more, I guess, optimal, if you want to say it that way. And the debuffs are also very good for support for your other units if you want them to do the fighting as opposed to Minerva. So very nice stuff with these snag skills. And we also just got Guard Bearing in the B-slot too from Ingrid, but I don't know if you would want to run Guard Bearing on this unit in particular, at least not on a build like this. Maybe if you wanted to go like in a Ward Flyer cube and do something like that, then maybe you would want to go for Guard Bearing there, but for a build like this, I don't think you need it. And to round out the build, we've got Sturdy Impact and Joint Drive Speed. So we're pretty much just focusing on initiating combat on the foes. However you want to get Minerva into combat is going to be up to you. If you want to reposition or smite her at the enemies, get some debuffs from that snag skill, and then go to town with Sturdy Impact and Swift Sparrow. Sturdy Impact is going to be pretty nasty here because you can negate the foe's follow-up attack and raise your bulk. So you're going to hit the foes, they're going to get one counterattack, and most likely that counterattack is not going to be able to KO Minerva because she's already got pretty solid defense, and the +10 from Sturdy Impact only makes that even better. And then you're going to smack him in the face with a +10 damage Luna. So pretty nasty stuff, especially in the player's hands, but this is a very high investment build here, so whether or not you think Minerva is going to be worth it is going to be at your own discretion. But totally, if she's one of your favorites, then I would say go for it. It's always best to build your favorites and have fun with them. Now for me though, my personal favorite out of the flying female axe units is definitely going to be Miridi from Fire Emblem 6. And I have no idea when she's ever going to get added to the game, but that's definitely going to be a day to remember for your boy. Also, Jill from Fire Emblem 9 is pretty rad. So those are my favorites as far as the wyvern flying women go. Let me know in the comment section actually which red-haired flying dragon lady is your favorite. And that's going to cover us for the builds for Minerva. Like I said not too long ago, you could run like a Gale Force build with her, but Her base attack isn't really the best, and unfortunately flying units can't have flashing blade, so you're probably best leaving the Gale Force stuff to the Kid Minerva and just focusing on the plus 10 true damage you get from Hauteclear's special refine if you want to run the big Minerva. So that about covers us for her, and it looks like our next Resplendent Hero is going to be Robin Male. Now this is actually pretty interesting because he's also going to be our first Resplendent Hero rocking the Hell attire. Pretty cool. And looking at this guy's artwork, he just really reminds me a lot of Valadar, which I guess that kind of makes sense, because Valadar is, of course, Robin's pops. So I guess it makes a little bit of sense if he takes after him a little bit. But I don't know what's going on with this Hell attire and the glowy, like, stomachs. Like, for some reason, this guy, like, for some reason, his shirt just has, like, X-ray vision. You can see inside his guts and stuff. I don't know what's up with that. But the Hell attire is pretty funky. And it's nice that we finally have someone rocking it. Also really nice that we went back to the free-to-play merge options here. And I feel like Robin is a popular enough character that, regardless of him being a meta-level unit or anything of that nature, he definitely has the popularity to sell some FEH passes, so I don't think this is a bad idea, and this is definitely going to be a unit that people are going to want. So let me know in the comment section down below, guys, what your thoughts are on Resplendent Robin. For me personally, I'm more interested in the artwork fixes, and unfortunately we haven't really been getting too many of those. Like, Gwendolyn and Rebecca just are in desperate need of that artwork fix, and I'm really just hoping we get Resplendent alts for them at some point, but, I mean, it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. But that's all for today's video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the discussion for the Resplendent Minerva and the builds for her. And as always, this is your boy Tacho signing out. So take care, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side.